Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello, I'm not alone, and neither are you.
We didn't get divorced. No, so funny thing happened. Geeky actually recorded some videos. Unfortunately, there's an audio flub and they're unusable, so we're going to go back.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Now I have to share the stage with you. It's okay.
I know, right? People could have had you all to themselves.
It was because it's better with you, because I'm not a big Doctor Who fan, and we're going to talk about Doctor Who because now there's somebody coming out saying that, who talks to people and knows what's going on, is saying that nothing's guaranteed. We don't know if Disney's going to renew, and it could be years until we get more Doctor Who. And in the video that I did before, that I don't have now, I mentioned that I don't really care for Doctor Who now, that I like, 9, 10, 11. And Capaldi was okay, but his script sucked.
Yeah.
And if I had to hear about Bill being a lesbian one more time, I mean, we get it. I have nothing against her being a lesbian. I'm just tired of hearing about it every episode.
Did you know Bill was gay?
Yeah, did you know?
Fun fact. Yeah.
And then we had the Whittaker thing, and then the Shitty Gotwa thing, and I didn't even whatever on either of those.
It's garbage. I mean, look, the show, everybody knew the show's in trouble. Even when they brought back David Tennant, the ratings were not great. For bringing back David Tennant, the ratings were not great. And Disney threw a lot of money at this thing. I think they thought this was part of their throwing spaghetti against the wall phase when they first launched Disney Plus. I think they just were like, okay, we'll just throw a bunch of money at all this stuff. Oh, Doctor Who's popular. And if we get people in for Doctor Who, maybe they'll watch Star Wars too. That's probably what they were thinking.
Well, at the time they greenlit this too, they were on that whole, DEI kick and put narrative and everything. And to be honest, why did Doctor Who fail? Doctor Who failed because you went from, you saw a little bit of it with Bill, but it went from, that into flat out full on, it's agenda driven, identity politics BS. And people don't like it. And they keep going on. It's a kid show. It's a kid show. It's a kid show. Then why are you shoving that stuff into a kid show?
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about this. It's not looking good for Doctor Who at all. And oh my God, guys, the YouTubers are right. The toxic chuds is like, well, people are just checking out. Families are checking out. Old heads are checking out. They might have their new young TikTok audience or whatever, but they've got the attention span of a gnat.
Because of the songs. They only,
I know,
that's
right?
Why they had the musical numbers, because they were trying to TikTok the music. That's what they got
so
them. But when
lame.
they didn't have that, they weren't there. They were out touching grass. They didn't care about Doctor Who because the ratings are abysmal and no one's watching this. And, Disney might not renew, which is what he's going to talk about in a minute. And I honestly be very surprised if Disney did renew, because Disney doesn't have the money to renew. They're cutting back on their Marvel and Star Wars and their own Disney Plus shows and things. I mean, except for like Kathleen Kennedy, however, somehow having a permanent job, no matter what she F's up, they're not wanting to take risks on this stuff anymore. If they do it, I'll be surprised.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. Before you get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, you'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Go out to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com. Check it out. We've got some exclusive podcasts out there. We're going to be doing more content over there. We got some news. It's lots of fun. Check it out. All right, so let's talk about this. It's not a lot of fun for the BBC. They're really freaking the hell out. I mean, they're trying to paywall all their content now.
Yeah, over here, if you want to read their news stories, they want Americans to pay for it.
Yes.
And everything else. So there's a whole big problem with them not having money.
Yeah, and so they had to do Doctor Who as a co-production because it's an expensive show. Well, the old stuff wasn't as expensive, but viewers have a certain expectation now because they kept ramping up the production values, and Disney kicked in some money, and they brought.
But the Acolyte had a big budget too, and they were like, "Where'd the budget go?"
Yeah. Well, this one actually look. I'll tell you the truth. The Doctor Who looks the best it's looked in a very long time. I'd say at least since the Matt Smith days when they were throwing all kinds of money out at the height of its popularity. And, but yeah, that money had to come from someplace. It came from Disney. And I think they thought, well, hey, this is money in the bank. We'll bring back Russell T Davies. We'll bring back David Tennant. We'll bring back, Catherine Tate. We already have him hired for DuckTales anyway. We'll bring him back. It'll be fine. It'll be great. And on paper, it sounds like a good idea, right?
We thought it was going to be great.
I thought it was going to be okay.
Davies has gone off. I mean, to be fair, Doctor Who has always had some politics, and Davies was always kind of political a little bit with agenda. But like you always say, it was the pill and the ice cream. You had the fantastic show, and there was a little bit of message in there, and you could take it, you could get it down easy. Now they just want to give you like a dry suppository with no lube up the bum hole. With their, did you get the message? Did you get the message? Inserted with their middle finger, and they just want it, and it's just ridiculous. It's not even fun anymore.
Davies wants to give it. Davies wants to give it to you dry
with the middle finger. So,
oh my God!
Oh, that's not his finger. I'm sorry.
So this is coming from. This is a big deal because this is actually coming from the guy who used to run the official Doctor Who magazine, and he went to Gallifrey Base, which is one of the biggest Doctor Who fan forums, and he said, "Hey guys, temper your expectations. We might not get any more Doctor Who for the rest of the decade. It might be a long time until we get more Doctor Who." So that's a big, people are like, oh, they're going to rest it for a year or two. He's talking like, no, this could be like
5
the big
years.
sleep. Yeah.
I think it needs to be longer than that personally. But.
Well, 16 years between the end of the 80s show and the new show. Now there was a made for TV movie in there, which, other than the Eighth Doctor being awesome, we don't really talk about too much, but Doctor Who Insider says nothing is commissioned and nothing is guaranteed. This comes from IGN as show remains in limbo month after finale airs. He said, I don't get the sense of much optimism for anything very soon. Again, this is a guy who has close ties to the production, who
he knows people, he's interviewed people, he hears things.
Yeah, and he ran the official magazine for a decade, more than a decade. So this is
down there. They have all his quotes down here a little further in the article.
Okay, so it's Tom Spilsbury, a journalist and writer with close ties to the show's production. He previously served as editor of the officially licensed Doctor Who magazine. He said you need to adjust your expectations. Okay, he said, I suspect the show will indeed come back at some point, but as of right now, nothing is commissioned and nothing is guaranteed. Those are the facts. Time will tell, of course, but I don't get the sense of much optimism for anything very soon from anyone I've spoken to.
Wait, so it's like those are the facts, but here's the thing you'll learn, dude. Even if you're telling people the facts and you're being honest and upfront, you'll still be labeled a bigot because, they don't want to hear it. And it's not because that's the truth. It's because they don't want to hear it. So you're clearly a toxic, misogynistic, istophobic, whatever.
So again, this is the IGN. I'm surprised you're not like shying away from this. Well, he's just a bigot. No, they're actually building up his cred. He had over more than 100 issues of Doctor Who magazine under his belt. Spilsbury repeatedly interviewed key figures within the show's production, separately worked with the BBC to record audio commentary for the Doctor Who DVDs. So this guy's like a big deal, right? Like he knows his stuff. And now based on his knowledge of the show's production, he said that fans should prepare themselves for a lengthy wait for new episodes to air. Everything is moving much more slowly in television at the moment on the assumption that Disney doesn't renew before its option officially expires. Why would they? Why would they? The show failed.
There's nothing in it for them.
They don't even own it. They're probably looking at like, well, we'll try it. And if it's like a huge deal, maybe we'll work a deal out and do something at the parks or what I'm saying? Like
Disney's done flushing money. I mean, they still have reasons, but I'm saying as far as they're trying to cut back in-house. Why? I don't think they're going to be spending money like they are to do things like Doctor Who outside.
They said after the option officially expires, at that point, the BBC can start shopping the show around, and that process could take a bit of time. It may require more than one partner just to raise the money needed. Potential partners who may have some very specific requirements or stipulations.
Like it makes money.
Yes, they may need to go back to people who they turned down last time. Have you noticed how more productions have needed multiple backers just to make them viable? Yeah, like you watch a movie now, and how many freaking studios are in the credits? It's
been like that for decades now, though. I noticed that back like in the 90s and stuff. It's been like that for a while now. But Doctor Who, but that just tells me how much Disney was spending. If Disney is spending so much money on this that they have to have more than one partner to pick up the slack if Disney leaves, then that tells me they're spending a crap ton of money, which makes me even more inclined to think they're not going to renew it.
Well, and look at from another potential partner's point of view. They're going to look at it and be like, this show turned to shit. There's not much of an audience there, and how much does it cost?
Right.
Like there's nothing we can do to save it. At this point, Doctor Who is damaged goods. short of like a complete reboot or something, like there's nothing we can do to save this show.
Well, they
And
need
we're
to
not going to
walk
spend the
back
money.
the timeless children. They need to walk back like several of the bad choices and just start again. I don't know what they'll do, but they're going to have to do something because the last two, Davies and who was the guy before him? Chibnall, they just effed up so much stuff. I don't even know how you can undo it short of just saying, oh, those seasons didn't happen. Here's the new, 13th Doctor or whatever.
They technically, look, I'm going to be honest, they technically could do that. They did it with the movie. They had the made for TV movie. It was on Fox, and they were going to try to do an American co-production of Doctor Who. And they had the 8th Doctor, Paul McGann, who was amazing, by the way. He was so good, and he got shafted. But they actually kind of retconned. They had like the Doctor was half human and the Daleks didn't sound right. And it was just kind of a weird thing. And then when they brought Doctor Who back, they just kind of stepped over it and pretended it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, none of that. Just, he just regenerated and he was delusional, talking about his mom being a human and all this other. It was weird. So they technically could do that. They could be like, oh yeah, the 12th Doctor's dying, and he has this, flash forward to like, oh my God, it's hallucinating. I became a woman and a very flamboyantly gay black man, and I was in a dress. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? It's like not making a good case for because the 12th Doctor was kind of on the fence about whether or not he wanted to regenerate again, like if he just call it quits.
It was the Master did the whole thing,
The Master did the whole thing. I mean, the timeless children, you can take care of it. I mean, honestly, yeah, you need to basically go back. What brought people back to Doctor Who, and the thing that Russell T Davies did the first time that was brilliant was they basically just pretended this was the first episode of a new show. They didn't have a lot of backstory. And they kind of,
like he disappeared, like he'd already been the Doctor for a while. You didn't need to know where he came,
Right. There's a time where he's lost. And if you'd never seen Doctor Who before, classic Doctor Who, it's fine. This is a good place to jump on. They need to do that again. Basically be like, okay, let's just start fresh with a good Doctor, get back to basics. And just, this is a new Doctor Who for people that have never seen the show before. One of the biggest problems they made, or biggest mistakes that Russell T Davies made too, was he was like, oh yeah, we're going to call this like season 1 and season 2. Like this is a reboot of Doctor Who. Then he proceeds to go back and do all these deep dives into the lore. And like new people are going to be completely lost. Like when Christopher Eccleston first regenerated, it was like, oh, here I have to explain regeneration to the audience so they understand, what's going on here. And it was none of that. I was like, oh yeah, I look just like the old Doctor and I used to be a woman, but I thought it was supposed to be what I'm saying? It was a very weird thing.
The people behind the show and the people in the audience put the in reboot.
Yeah. So I could see them. They would have to. And they said potential partners might have specific requirements. Might be like, yeah, you go cast a more traditional Doctor that's going to bring eyeballs and we'll talk.
Well, they say later, I don't remember where he says it, but I don't know if you read it yet or not, but he says he's thinking it's at least 5 years.
Yeah. Well, he said, yeah, they could go ultra cheap. But they probably won't do that. Cause he said, that was his perspective, albeit one based on his production knowledge and real life conversations with people who do actually know a thing or two about television. I'm not saying that things will definitely turn out this way. I just think people may need to adjust their expectations about how long it's going to take. As I've always said, Doctor Who might not be officially canceled, but for now, the absence of a commission essentially amounts to the same thing. Yep. Remember when that was just YouTuber rumor and speculation and rumor mongering, and you were a bigot, Nazi, transphobe, homophobe, whatever.
You just hate diverse people.
You just hate, right. I'm sure that commission will come at some point, but the longer it takes, the more likely it will be that the show will return as a completely reimagined relaunch. And maybe that would be a good thing. This is a guy who was in charge.
Be a good thing.
I think it would be. I think honestly, if the only way you could save Doctor Who is either walk back the last couple of seasons or just hit the reset button completely and just be like, you know what, we're starting with Doctor number 1 again. And this is how it's going to go. And that's it. Not a member of the show's current productions, his previous closeness to the brand gives his words weight among Doctor Who fans. I love it. And they're still going to find a way to, well, he's just disgruntled. He doesn't know what's like. He's old, white male, stale, pale. He just hates Ncuti Gatwa. He hates diversity. I'm sure.
They didn't say that in the article.
No. I'm saying this is a couple of years ago. IGM wouldn't have even touched. They would have been like, Well, here's another bigot who's mad about Doctor Who being more diverse. Yeah, none of this shit has worked. That's what we're trying to say. And the same things, they keep trying to like, we're going to reinvent it for a new modern audience. There is no new modern audience, right? You're stuck with the people you're stuck with. And a lot of them are older. They have families. And the chain has been broken. It used to be like,
it was
family
a family show. They kept saying it's a show for kids. How has this been a show for kids? How has this been a show for families? Incel Island or whatever it was.
Incel Island.
I'm like, come on, come on.
Oh God.
Never forget, Doctor Who put Rosa Parks in the back of the bus.
Yeah, I know, right? That actually was Squid King. He was out after that. He's like, I can get past the Doctor being a woman, sure, whatever, alien, whatever. But Doctor Who just put Rosa Parks in the back of the bus. Like, what the hell? What the hell? And then all the villains that first season were like, oh, it's another toxic white man.
Basically. It's a Trump stand-in. So anyway, are you going to wrap this up?
Yeah, it's just kind of crazy. He said, by the time they get around to it, so at least 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And at that point, it'll be the children of 2005 who would bring the show back, just as Russell T Davies predicted, as ever time will tell. And I think at this point, you just have to hit reset. I don't think you can. I mean, it's so messed up at this point. I don't want to see a continuation of this timeline. Just pretend it didn't happen.
No, let's not. So anyway, we're going to wrap this up now.
Yeah, we're going to wrap it up now. There we go, guys. It's the end of Who. Boo-hoo. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.
For more pop culture news, views, and rants, go to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com.